Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
So till now we were doing the algorithms that you have already seen in some forms, so like binary search and quick sort and merge sort. But now we will do some more interesting algorithms and see how you can apply the idea of divide and conquer to make these more efficient. So the first algorithm that we are going to start with is polynomial multiplication. So is the name say what do we do? So first of all, try to understand the problem specification fully. Like what is the input and what is the output that is expected. So here, suppose you are given, suppose we have two polynomials, each of degree n minus 1. So what do you mean by a polynomial of degree n minus 1? That will have n terms. So we have two such polynomials, let's say a and b. So ax is an minus 1 x to the power n minus 1 plus an minus 2 x to the power n minus 2 up to a1x plus a0. And similarly, let's say bx is bn minus 1 xn minus 1 plus bn minus 2 xn minus 2 up to b1x plus b0. So this is the input. You have two polynomials and you have to multiply. So the product polynomial to multiply ax, bx, and let's say the output is cx. Okay. So what will be the degree? So degree will depend on the largest degree of a and b. So they had n minus 1 each. So this will have a degree of 2n minus 2. So then I can write the generic form of cx, that is c2n minus 2 x to the power 2n minus 2 plus c2n minus 3 x to the power 2n minus 3 plus up to c0. Okay. Now what do I mean by getting the output cx? So you see, that means I have to get the coefficient ci. So I have to get ci where I is greater than equal to 0, less than equal to 2n minus 2. So there are 2n minus 1 such coefficients and I have to get each of them. So if I get these 2n minus 1 coefficients, I have my output. So that's what I need to do. So how do I compute an individual ci? So how do I compute ci? Okay. Now ci is the power of x to the, so coefficient of x to the power I in the product. Now that will come from a and b. So some aj and some bk will be used. So I will say that will be summation of aj and bk. Now what is the constraint? Now j plus k should be equal to I, and jk can be anything. 0 less than equal to jk, less than equal to n minus 1. Okay. For an example, suppose I is equal to 2n minus 3. So to get c2n minus 3, I have to use some coefficient from a and b such that the j and k add up to 2n minus 3. Now in this case there is only two ways. So for example, this and this together becomes 2n minus 3. So I can do an minus 1 times bn minus 2 plus these two together will make 2n minus 3. So an minus 2 bn minus 1. So j plus k is equal to I and j can be anything. Now just think about how much time it will take to compute all these coefficients. Okay. So let's say how much time it will take to compute a ci. Now you have to multiply aj and bk and k can be from 0 to n minus 1. So if you think just that, you will say, okay, this is order n square. Now is that correct? Now someone will say, okay, no, this is not correct because I have an additional constraint, j plus k is equal to I. So when I'm going, so suppose I'm varying j from 0 to n minus 1. So at any j, if I know j, I can immediately find what is k. kh I minus 1, right? So I don't have to go for all possible kh given as. So the at most I have to use n pairs for Ci. Order n pairs and adding those is fine. That is will happen in order n time anyway. So to get Ci, I need order n time, not order n square. Okay. And how many such terms I have to find? There are 2n minus 1 such terms. So overall, to get entire thing, I need order n square. Now this is what we generally call as a naive algorithm. So given a problem, think about a naive algorithm without using any algo knowledge. What is the best treatment? Okay, so I can do order n square without using much algo knowledge. Now we have to do something better. Now as this algo student, can you do better than order n square? And how we will do better than n square? How will we make it more efficient? Yes, we will make use of divide and conquer. So how exactly can we use divide and conquer to improve the efficiency? So then let's think, okay, can we divide this problem into smaller subproblems? So I have two polynomials. So I have ax, I have bx. So this is an minus 1, xn minus 1 up to a0x. Now how can I divide into smaller sub problems? So then I will say, okay, why don't I think about dividing into two parts? They are roughly equal. So how I can do that? Sure. So I have n. So let me find some t, that is n by 2. Okay. So I can put the terms up to xt minus 1 here. So here a t minus 1, xt minus 1 up to a0x are here. And the higher degree terms are in this form. So this will have an minus 1, xn minus 1 up to at xt. So you see I have divided into two parts. Okay. Now I want to make sure that they are of the same size. I mean the size here is the order of the polynomial. That should be close to n by 2. Now this is n by 2 order, but this I cannot say because the power goes up to n minus 1, right? So to do that, what I will do, to make it also of order n by 2, I can take xt common across. So I will further simplify it as xt common an minus 1 x n minus t minus 1 up to at. Right? Now this n minus t minus 1 is also of the order of n by 2 because t is n by 2. So that way I can write ax as xt, let's say we call it the higher degree polynomial, plus lower degree polynomial. And similarly I can do it bx, xt bhi x plus b lower degree of x, where t is n by 2. Sure. So now, how can I write Cx in terms of Ax and Bx? So Cx is Ax times Bx. That will be, okay, let's multiply this. So I have x to the power 2t, ahi bhi plus x to the power t, elo bhi plus ahi blo and alo blo. Okay, these are the things Cx will have. Fine. Okay. Now what do you see? Like what is, so you're dividing into smaller subproblems. This is one subproblem of size n by 2. Convince yourself. A and B are polynomials of size n by 2, and you're multiplying this. So this is a single subproblem of size n by 2. Similarly, this is a second subproblem, third, and fourth. So you have 4 subproblems, each of size n by 2 here. And you are solving these recursively, these 4 subproblems, and combining by multiplying with certain terms and adding. So how much time combining and addition will take? So addition all will take order n times because there are only n coefficients. You will add those n coefficients. So I can write the complexity Tn as 4 subproblem of size n by 2 each plus theta n. Now, how do I solve for this? Okay, so let's use something called the Master's theorem. Okay, so by the way, solving this recurrences will be covered in detail in your discrete structures, so I'm not doing it here, but I'll just quickly state Master's theorem if it is not covered, and we will just use that. So what is the Master's theorem? So suppose you have a recurrence in the form of following. So Tn is At n by b plus Fn. Okay, and your A and B are constants greater than equal to 1. So A is greater than equal to 1 and B is greater than 1. And if you can see that Fn is order of n log a to the base b minus epsilon for some epsilon greater than 0. Okay, so if you can ensure that, then you can write Tn as theta n log a to the base. So that means this Fn has to be strictly smaller than this quantity, log a to the base b. Then you can write this. So let's try it over this particular recurrence. So what is A? A is 4 and B is 2. Okay, so let's first compute this quantity. N to the power log 4 to the base 2, that is n square. And is Fn is theta n, that you can say something like Cn. Can I write Fn as order n 2 minus epsilon? Yes, I can find this epsilon greater than 0 such that this works. So that is true. Then Tn is theta n square. Okay. Wow. Now, first of all, this is easy to use. Okay. Fine, that is a good part. It's a good part. But there is also a bad part. What is the bad part? Now, if you remember what we are doing. So we are doing this polynomial multiplication. We found a nice divide and conquer strategy. Okay, so we divide and conquer strategy. And we thought this is all good. We are progressing, but suddenly at the end we come up with the same complexity as the naive algorithm. Even naive algorithm was giving me theta n square. So what have I achieved by doing this nice divide and conquer? So this is something we can call as divided but could not conquer. Yes, I divided the problem, but overall I could not conquer. I am still doing the same time complexity n square. Now what is the trick? What is the trick? Okay, let's go back. I have to find out this. Okay, now all looked good. I had divided the subproblems, gave me 4 subproblems, and this gave me the reconciliation. But if I solve it, I get theta n square. Now, what can I do so that I can make it more efficient? So how to make it more efficient? Now, if you were in the class, I think some of you would have said immediately, I find a way to make it more efficient. And what is that? If some way I can change this 4 to 3. can I do the same task with 3 subproblems of size n by 2? Okay, but how? How will you do it? How will you do it? I have to compute these 4 things, right? And they are all 4 subproblems of size n by 2. You cannot do away with any of this. So let's write down again. So I have to compute these 4 things: AHI, BHI, ALO, BLO, and AHI, BLO plus ALO, BHI. Okay? 4 things. But yeah, you will say no. Actually, they are not 4 things. I have to only find this whole quantity. Okay? So I have to only find this whole thing. I don't have to find AHI, BLO and ALO, BHI separate. Okay, this is one luxury that I have. So, okay, how will I use that luxury? So let's think. So remember, how did this come? How did this term come? AHI, BLO plus ALO, BHI. So we were multiplying AHI plus ALO with BHI plus BLO. So this is nothing but AHI plus ALO times BHI plus BLO. And there were 3 terms, this, and this. This, and this. So minus AHI, BHI minus ALO, BLO. And that is exactly this term. Okay, that's how it came. And once I write it, now it might click immediately. Okay, what is something interesting I can do? So I'll say, okay, good. I got my first subproblem I have to solve, the second subproblem, but now I'll just add these 2 things. I'll add these 2 things, and this will be my third subproblem. And I will subtract these 2 things that I've already computed in 1 and 2. Okay? So that means, in terms of my subproblems, that is multiply polynomials of size n by 2 each, I am doing only 3 subproblems. 1, 2, 3. Everything else is just addition, multiplication. And I know addition, multiplication are only order n, so that will not harm me much. And this is the tricky idea. And if I do that, then my complexity now is Pn is 3t n by 2 plus some b prime n. And b prime is obviously larger than the previous b, because now you're doing more addition, subtraction and all, but it is still some b prime n, right? And so what will be the complexity? So I compute this n to the power log 3 to the base 2. Okay, and I ensure that this n to the power 1 is smaller than this. That is the case, and this becomes my complexity, right? And this is roughly like n to the power 1.58. And this is a huge improvement with respect to the naive algorithm. So yeah, and this came by divide and conquer. Yes, not just by divide and conquer. You had to be a bit more smart, and then you find out, okay, you can do this in 3 subproblems, and you achieved n to the power 1.58. And that's what it's also called Karatsuba's polynomial multiplication. The first interesting problem other than what you have already seen. Now let's see a similar such problem. Okay, a similar such problem, and this is what is matrix multiplication. What is that? Well, you know that already we covered that in chapter 1. What is matrix multiplication? You are given 2 matrices A and B. So input are 2 matrices A and B. Say elements are Aij and B elements are Bij, and the output is C elements are Cij, and all Ij go from 1 to n, right? So they are n cross n matrices, and this output should be A times B. Okay, now you know the algorithm how to compute that. So there will be n square terms in C, and each Cij, how do you compute Cij? That is summation k is equal to 1 to n Aik Bkj. Okay, so that is takes theta n times, and you have to do n square such terms, so overall theta n cube. And you can write the pseudocode for this very well, and this is what fine. And this is what we call as the naive algorithm. And we have to do better than that. Yes, we have to improve on that. How? Using divide and conquer. So let's see. So how can we use divide and conquer over this matrices? How can we divide the matrices? So let's just look, let them start visualizing like a matrix. So I have matrix A, matrix B, A, B, both n cross n. Then I have to multiply these and get a matrix C n cross. Right? Now, how can you use divide and conquer here? What can you divide? And you can say, okay, I can divide them into smaller matrices, right? So I can say, okay, let's make a symmetric division. Such that each matrix here, so this is an n by 2 cross n by 2 matrix, all of it. Okay, so let's give them some names: A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and the output matrix shall say R, S, T. Now, first of all, can you convince yourself that I can write R, S, T, U in terms of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H? Yes. So, what will be R? Well, to get R, you can think of this as if A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H are just elements. So R will be A, E plus B, G. S will be A, F plus B, H. T will be C, E plus B, G. And U will be CF plus DH. Okay, so these are your RS, PM. And this is, and then finally you combine these, and this is, you get your final output. So you are dividing into smaller problems. Divide is actually not very tricky. You are recursively calling all these subproblems and then combining it. Now let's see what is the complexity you will achieve by this. So for that you have to understand how many subproblems of size n by 2 you end up with. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 subproblems. I have 8 subproblems. Okay. And how much time the combined like addition, so you are doing additions will take. So they are all n square elements. And if you add matrices of size order n square, you will take order n square. Right? Element you add one by one, so order n square. So I can express Tn as 8 times T n by 2 plus theta n square. Fine. Now let's see if I can apply the Master's theorem. And I have to compute O log A is 8 and B is 2, and what is that? Sorry, n to the power. Yes, n to the power. So that is order n to the power 3. And I have to make sure that this Fn is smaller than that. This is order n, 3 minus epsilon. Yes, true. Fine. So then I can write Tn as theta n cube. Well, same situation. So I divided, but the same as the naive allegorical complexity. So I divided, but could not conquer again. And then you are smart people, so you know, okay, what lies ahead is that I have to make it more efficient. And how? If I can somehow change this 8 to 7. Okay. And how do I do that? It's not very trivial. So that's where we will just see what people did. So there was stress in So this is called Stressen's matrix multiplication. So what he came up with these 7 subproblems. So yeah. So yeah, the terminology are different, but idea is this. So you have sub matrices of size n by 2 cross n by 2 each. Now he came up with these 7 terms, m1 to m7. Like m1 is a11 plus a22 times b11 plus b22. M2 is a21 plus a22 times b11 and so on. And then in terms of these 7 terms, he wrote final matrix CH, m1 plus m4 minus m5 plus m7 and so on. Okay, you see some sort of symmetry, but yeah, I don't know how he came up with this. But he came up with this, and this is the exact solution. And he came up from 8 to 7 subproblems. Okay, so yeah. And then immediately you see Tn is 7t n by 2 plus theta n square, and that gives you much better complexity. Log 7 to the base 2. Now this is much better than theta n cube, the naive algorithm. And what was the crux of coming up with this? So main crux is use divide and conquer. Okay. Now we see in the last 2 subproblems, just divide and conquer is not giving you a more efficient algorithm, right? So then use some trick to reduce subproblems. So first came up with divide and conquer. You have more like here you have 8 subproblems. Trick to reduce subproblems, you get 7 subproblems, and you get a better and efficient algorithm. Sure. Okay. Now before I go further, I think these 2 are very interesting. I give you an exercise that is based on the polynomial multiplication. So what is exercise? I will give you another problem. So problem is large integer multiplication. Something like 3, 4, 2, 1, 8, 9, 6, 5, 2, 0, 3 times 3, 8, 9, 5, 6, 0, 2, 1 and so on. So let's say I have 2 large integers of n digits each, and I have to multiply these. Okay. Now think about what would be the naive algorithm and how you can map it to polynomial multiplication problem to achieve a divide and conquer solution, and how you can make it more efficient. Okay, so that is for you to try, and we can discuss once if you have any doubts on this. Okay, so we saw 2 interesting problems, matrix multiplication and polynomial multiplication. And now we will see the third problem that also has some sort of geometry in that. Okay, so yeah, let's see. So okay, so let's take a different problem, so that I said has some geometry feeling in that. And this is called the closest pair problem. Okay, now yeah, let's try to understand the problem. So problem is something like that. You are given an xy plane, right, and you have lot of points. And you have to find out what is the closest pair. Okay, so something like maybe this is the closest pair. Okay, so which is the closest pair? So that is the problem. Okay. If you think, without even specifying the problem, if you think about it, what is the naive solution you can find, naive algorithm? You will say, okay, compare each pair of points and find the smallest distance. So you can compute something like the Euclidean distance, and which pair has the smallest distance. So you just compute that. And how much time it will take? Because you have to compare each pair. So they are n square pair, so NC2 pair. So you will take theta n square. That is a naive algorithm. And what you have to do, you have to use divide and conquer, right? And achieve better than that. Okay. And let's see how we will do this. So let's first formally denote these points. So let us say, so let us denote the set of points by some p, we have p1 to pn, where each pi is a point and pi has coordinates, say xi, y. Fine. Now for every pair pi and pj, that and p, let's say d distance, p and dpi and pj denotes the standard Euclidean distance. Fine. And what is my goal? You have to find a pair of points pi pj that minimizes d of pi pj. Okay, so that is minimum d pi pj for ij equal to 1 to n. For all possible ij, what is the minimum distance? And I not equal to j. Right. So, well, I talked about 2D plane, so you can have the problem in the 1D plane also. If you have only a single coordinate and you have n points, naive way you will just compare all. But if you are using in a 1D plane, then you can do something better. You say, okay, I'll first sort them. Suppose they are all on x-axis or something. Sort them, and then take in that sequence you continue going and find which two constitutive points have the minimum distance. Okay, and then find minimum. And this one would be all log n, right? Now, can you do something similar in a 2D plane? Can you do something in a 2D plane? So now, the idea would be similar. I mean, you will have to use sorting. Okay. So again, so you have a plane. So let's say you have points. I'm not marking boundary, but you see we have points. Okay, and so let's say think about divide and conquer. You say, okay, let's say I divide this into 2 parts. I divide the plane into 2 parts, the left plane and the right plane, the left half and the right half. Divide, okay, and then I can recursively find out what is the, say you find out a closest pair in left and closest pair in right. And then I have to combine this information together to find the closest pair of overall. That will be divide. You divide the plane and you're conquering each of the subproblems and then you're combining. That looks like a divide and conquer approach. Fine. Now divide and conquer, these two are easy, but you see the conquer part is not so easy. And why is that? Because you see what you have done, you have found out the minimum distance in the left plane, and suppose it is this. Okay, and then you have found a minimum in the right plane. And suppose I'm just putting another thing. Suppose this is this. But then when you combine, so you know, okay, these in the left and right plane, they may not be sufficient. There may not be any more pairs that have a smaller distance than this. Okay, this is the minimum here. This is the minimum here. But what about pairs that are across the boundary? What about these pairs? What about these pairs? Okay, so you say, okay, you may have to check for all the pairs that lie on the boundary in combine. To combine, you have to check all points across boundary. But just think, in the worst case, how many these can be? In the worst case, can happen all n by 2 points are lying on the boundary here. All n by 2 points are lying on the boundary here. So in the worst case, you may have to do all n by 2 cross n by 2. That is assuming they are n by 2 in each, but yeah. Let's say we are dividing such that they are n by 2 in each. And we have to do still n by 2 cross n by 2. Right? That is n square already. So that simple thing will not happen. So we have to do something more interesting. Now what is the idea? What is the idea? So yeah, so I have the set of points P. Let's also think in terms of how we will code. So let's say, so we will sort all the points in P by x coordinates. We can, because they have both x and y coordinates, so we can sort them by x coordinates, and we call it Px. And we also sort them by y coordinates, and we call them Py. Okay. So we have two sorted lists. These are the same points, h for x coordinates and h for y coordinates. Now I want to divide them into 2 parts. Okay. So I want to divide them into 2 parts. So suppose this is my line L, and I am calling Q and R, the 2 parts Q and R, and there are points. And suppose, fine. So what will be, how will I find out Q? Q are set of points in the first n by 2 positions of the list. So here I am dividing them as per their x coordinates. So in the list Px. Okay, and Q is the left half. And similarly, R is the set of points in the final n by 2 positions of Px. So this is your right half. So I can systematically divide them into left and right parts. So that part is fine. Now you recursively determine the closest pair of points in both Q and R. So let's say in Q you find some closest pair here, in R you find some closest pair here. After you divide, you recursively find closest pair in Q and R. Fine. Now how will you proceed? Okay, because you have found the closest pair, you will also find the distance. So let's say dq is the distance on Q, the minimum distance, and dr is the minimum distance on R. And we can also find what is the minimum distance among these two. So minimum of dq and dr. That is fine. Now I have to find out, when I combine this solution, that is overall, what is the minimum distance? I know on the left hand side dq is the minimum distance, the right hand side dr is the minimum distance, but overall what is the minimum distance. So how do you combine the solution of these two problems to achieve the solution for the larger problem, distance of size n? So the only problem could be, so is there some QR, Q in capital Q and R in, so they are in different sides, one is left, one is in right, for which the distance is less than lambda. So only if there are some points this will change. I mean the final solution will be different than lambda. Now as we argued, like there can be many points, but let's make it more precise. Okay, so suppose there have to be some points, across the boundary. Where can they lie? So this is my boundary L. Where can they lie? So I know delta, right? I have got delta, so I know they can lie at most within delta of the line, right, on both sides. So I know this is my wall under which, if there are any points that should satisfy this constraint, they should lie here in this particular band. Okay, this is my final band where any points such should lie. Fine, I hope you agree with me, because any point, once it lies beyond this, it cannot have a distance less than delta with a point in Q. So they have to be within this band. Fine, so we can concentrate on this band. Okay. But it does not help you much, you see. Even it may happen that all the points are lying within this band. Yes, all the n by 2 points are in this band. All the n by 2 points are in this band. So then you have to again do n square comparisons. And it does not save much. So now can we do something more interesting? So now let's think. Okay, now let's think. So let's say in general case, let S subset of B be the set of points in this band. Fine. So because I know this delta, I can choose all the points whose coordinates are between delta of L. And that is easy. I know L, I can choose points only within delta of this. So I can list all these points. So this S I can list. Now x-axis sorting will not help, but I can make use of their y-axis sorting. Now let Sy be the list of points in S sorted as per their y coordinates. Fine, I can get that because I already did the sorting. So I know, okay, I can get S, I can get the points in there as per their y-axis, y coordinates. So now, so there will be a first point, right? There will be a first point at least. Now, see what we are trying to prove, that in the worst case there are n by 2 times n by 2 comparisons. But can I somehow say, okay, I don't have to do n by 2 comparisons, but I can do something like a Cn comparisons, some constant times n comparisons. If I can change from n by 2 cross n by 2 to Cn, then I'm done. Then it will be like merge sort. Tn is 2Tn by 2 plus Cn. And I will get an order n log n complexity better than n square. So can I ensure that the number of comparisons I have to do around this, in this band, are at most a constant time? So that's what we are doing. Fine. So let's think again. So I have this L I have the band within delta. I have all the points that are lying within this band, right? And I have sorted as per the y-axis. This is already done. I'm not doing it here. I'm not doing analog and thing here within this combined. It's already sorted. I'm just using the sorting. Okay. So now, see, there will be a first point. So suppose the first point lies somewhere here. Okay, the point with the minimum y-axis, y-coordinate. Now I want to prove that I have to compare this point with at most compare this point with at most a constant number of other points. Okay, and even if this constant is large, I don't care right now. Okay, I just want to prove that I have to compare at most with a constant number of points. How will I do that? And that's where I use some geometry trick. Okay. So you can do something better than what I'm doing, but I'll just prove that I have to compare with at most a constant number of points. So let's think of this grid. So this grid is with me. I'm going to the right hand side and I'm just making the further division into such that this is delta by 2 and this is delta by 2. Okay, and now I'm trying to make square blocks. So delta by 2. So each block is delta by 2 cross delta by 2. Fine. Why am I doing that? So first of all, this is easy. And once I do that, the fact is that at most one point can lie in a single block. Can you see that? So I cannot see the diagonal, so the highest distance within a block is diagonal, that is delta by 2 times the square root 2. That is less than delta. So I can never have 2 points because I know the minimum distance across Q and R is delta. So I can never have more than 1 point in a single block. Okay, great. Now once I know that, okay, now I think you are getting how will I go this. So then you go to this point. Okay, now I'm just playing safe. So I'm saying once I get a point here, some point I have to compare it with how many points I have to compare it with. So see, I'm starting from the bottom, right? There's no point below this. There is no point below this. So, and any general point also, because you've already started from below, you have to only consider things above this. So above this, so because I'm doing blocks, so if I play totally safe, I will say, okay, I don't have to go beyond this grid. I don't have to go beyond this grid because this is delta and these, and so yeah, I don't have to go beyond this grid. So how many points are there in the grid? There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 4 cross 4. 16 points, and 1 is just where this point lies. So there are 15 other points. So compare with at most 15 other points. So I have to compare it with at most 15 other points, and I'm done, because as soon as a point comes here beyond this grid, I know the distance is anyway going to be larger than the straight distance, that is always 3 delta by 2. Okay, so actually I could have even removed this one, but let's say I keep it. I'm just playing totally safe. So once a point goes beyond this grid, I don't have to compare with it. So that means any point I have to compare with at most 15 other points. Yes, I'm done. So that means fine. I compare with all the 15 points and see if the distance, any distance is less than delta, then I update my delta, I mean the minimum distance, and if they are all larger, delta remains. Okay, so then I keep on doing that. So then P and H divide into equal subproblems 1 by 2 plus order n. This will be maybe 15n or something, 15 or 20n, right? If I'm doing some other work, and this together will give me again order n log n, like a merge sort case. So yeah, so this closest pair of points you can do in order n log n time. So fine, so these were the problems that I had to do formally in this course, in this chapter. Now we will have more problems in tutorial and lab, and I think you can practice. And yeah, please ask your doubts. You can use YouTube comments to ask your doubts, and we will also have doubt clearing session.